What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe, just maybe, that notification bell too, as it really helps out our channel, but no pressure at all. And don't forget we're on podcast 2 now, so you can take me with you wherever you go. This is usually updated sort of weekly, so they obviously get watched on YouTube first. And if you want to be super awesome, you can join us on YouTube membership by clicking that join button down below, or join us on Patreon, where there's different tiers and different levels and all that kind of good stuff. And yesterday we had 2 new members, Alexandra McCann, thank you so much, and Steph Barnes. You absolute bloody legends. Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative. Thank you. And a huge thank you to all the new subscribers as well. You are all truly appreciated from the bottom of my heart. Honestly, just absolutely amazing. And with that being said, I'll shut up now. Let's get in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from No Blood 5337. Am I the arsehole for telling my sister-in-law she's not getting a dime of my brother's inheritance? I have a brother and I am 15 years older than he is. Our parents died when I was 21 and I took in my brother. The only proper thing my parents did was invest in real estate and left behind a will that left me and my brother half. However, I am the trustee of my brother's half until he is 35. My brother married at 22, he's now 25. I don't like his wife, she's self-centered, a bitch, nasty and can't be nice. But my brother is in love with her. They are very open about never having children, which both saddens and relieves me at the same time. My brother also has some health issues as well. Whenever my brother needed money and he did not have it, he works as a machinist, he would have to ask me. I run his half of the inheritance. I sold all the real estate my parents owned and made a ton of money. I am very strict with what I approve, much to my brother's anger. I tell him I might be his brother, but I am also the bank and banks just don't give money out. For example, he wanted to buy his wife a $25,000 necklace and I refused. $25,000 is a drop in the bucket, but that money isn't going to be wasted on stuff like that. Recently he wanted to buy a nice house and asked for money. I told him that was probably the smartest thing he's ever asked for money for. It's a nice house and a good investment. It would give my brother a good project to work on. I said I would, but only if the house deed is in the name of the trust. He asked why. I told him because I didn't want his wife getting it if something should happen. He started up his whole "it's my money" rant, and I told him it is, but I control it for another 10 years. His wife ended up calling me. I haven't spoke to her in years. She tried making the issue of the house as something for my brother. I told her that the trust is between me and my brother and it's none of her business. She has no claim to it. She asked what did she do to me that made me hate her. I said I didn't hate her, I just want to make sure she doesn't get any of the trust money. The idea of my brother getting ill and dying and all that money going to her makes me sick to my stomach. He lost both parents when he was 7, had health issues and has a massive trust. I'm just doing everything I can legally do to watch out for his best interests. I've not heard from them in 2 weeks. Edit, I forgot to mention this, but his wife encouraged him to get a lawyer to wrestle control of his half away from me. But even he didn't want to do that because he knows the trust is ironclad and all hell would break loose. Edit again. For people saying it's his money, it is not his money. It doesn't become his until 2030. For people wondering why he has to be 35, that was decided by the courts, not me. About the necklace, my brother called me and asked me to wire him 25k. I asked him for what. He and his wife randomly took a trip to LA. We're at Cartier of Beverly Hills. He wanted to buy a couture necklace for his wife. I told him no. My brother does get a monthly allowance. That allowance includes his rent and medical insurance / costs. He has those bills sent to me and I either pay them or don't. Anything to do with his wife, I won't pay. And final edit, my brother has cystic fibrosis. Now initially I can see on Reddit that this person has been voted the arsehole of the situation, but I'm going to have to disagree. I think he's being smart with the money. Unfortunately it doesn't tell us how much money he's got, but at the same time, the guy's trying to spend 25 grand on a fucking necklace, man. Come on now. You know, it might be your thing, but 25 grand is stupid spending that amount of money on a necklace. I'm sorry, but it is. And if the description of this, his sister-in-law is true about being self-centered, a bitch, and nasty and can't be nice, well, it really says it all, doesn't it? But obviously we're putting that all down to the trusting the OP there. But now we'll take a look at the comments below and see what we can see. Stock State says, "You're the arsehole, so you've become the controlling parent now. I suppose as executor of the estate, you have that right, but the cost seems high." Ashdoran says, "I would say not the arsehole. I have a trust that I can't access till I'm 30. I'm 27 now. I'm thankful that my aunt, who is in control of the trust at the moment, hasn't given me anything except a car, money from the trust, and offers to pay for school. I gained 50k in the last 8 years, which will help me when I'm 30 and have access. She is doing what's smart for the money. Gannicus G13 says, "You are absolutely correct. His brother is doing his best to make sure he even still has money once he's able to fully access it. I'm 100% sure the moment he has fully access to the money, it will be spent up within a year." NomD Pixel says, "You're the arsehole. He's an adult, and adults get to make the decision that other people disapprove of. You are using the money to control him, and from the way you talk, I suspect the reason you don't like his wife is that she stands up to you. If you give a damn about your brother's long-term financial health, set him up with a financial advisor who specialises in helping people lay out budgets and plan for the future. The way you are going now, the second he gets control of the trust, he will burn through the money and cut off all contact with you until he becomes begging for yours." Breezy Bree replies to that saying, "I think the wife is clearly showing that she feels entitled to spend this money. Do you think the brother just one day decided he wanted to buy his wife a 25k necklace? I very much doubt that is something he came up with on his own." And for the first story, I turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description for story 1. Our next story is from FoxyCakes7437. Am I the arsehole for giving the company my honest opinion on their interview process when they asked for it? I applied for a job a few months ago. It was a completely online work from home job, regardless of the current situation, so all communication and process was done online. This was for a retail consultant position for the online shoppers. They could seek advice from the consultant if they needed help choosing products. I received an email saying that they would like to interview me. Sweet, I got an email link for a Zoom call the next week. I had no idea how many people would be on this call or who I would be talking to. I joined the call and there were like 30 of us on there. The hiring reps tells us all to mute ourselves as we will be listening and not talking. We proceeded to sit through a 2-hour presentation on the company history, their finances, goals, and every little gritty detail that nobody actually cares about. At the end of the presentation, they told us that they had been watching our faces to see how our engagement was during the presentation, to determine who would move on to the next interview step. They said they would select 5 people out of the 30 on the call. After the call, they wanted us to write a 3-page essay about a particular topic from a list they provided us. We had 2 hours to turn it in. Well, I did not get selected and received that email the next day. Along with an email was an attached form. They wanted reviewing the interview process with a blank box at the end to give them our honest opinion on the interview process. I told them honestly that I found it a bit inappropriate and not very well organised, that to dedicate 5 hours of my time to an interview for a position they weren't even considering me for. I explained that I had been in the final pool of candidates, it would have been fine, but having me watch a 2-hour presentation on the company and write a 3-page essay just so I can be weeded out in the first step was just not the business. I received a nasty email back from the hiring recruiter saying that they're glad they didn't hire me with that kind of attitude and just a bunch of other rude stuff. I didn't reply. My boyfriend and mum think I was out of line and that if I really wanted a job, I wouldn't have an issue with doing all of that work. Again, I wouldn't if I was actually being considered for employment, but I just found it weird that I had to go through all that preliminary screening. Am I the arsehole? Edit. A lot of people are telling me this is an MLM/pyramid scheme. It looks like it, but it definitely wasn't. I found the job on Indeed. They are a company similar to Ulta/Sephora, who sell their own products as well as other brands. The job was basically like an online Sephora employee, where people could request help matching foundation shades, asking skincare questions, etc. Edit 2. Thank you kind stranger for the award, and thank you for the well wishes on finding a new job. I did find one that pays me well and had a very reasonable hiring process. What I will say straight away is that your boyfriend and your mum are totally wrong. That if you really wanted a job, you wouldn't have an issue with doing all that work. Hell no, an interview goes both ways. You're there to interview them about the position you're taking too. Never take that shit for an answer. You're not there to slave for them. They're also there to tell you that the job is right for you, you know. So ask them questions, give them hassle too. I've always said that about any interview I go into. I give them as much hell as they give me. And if someone told me they wanted me to sit for a 2-hour presentation, I'd be fuck the hell out of there. No chance. Not without telling me what it's all about first and my chances of getting through. But let's take a look at the comments below and see what we can see. Imaginary Marsupial says, I wouldn't have even made it to the end of the presentation. This is a bad way of interviewing candidates. Sounds very much like an MLM/pyramid scheme practices too. Not the arsehole. Grumpy Old Fart 74, great name, says, Not the arsehole. If a company doesn't respect your time during the interview process, they won't respect your time when you work there. If they're unprofessional enough to send a nasty response to honest feedback, that reinforces my perception that this is a shitty company that you're lucky to have avoided. I'd be tempted to leave a review on Glassdoor too and warn other people off. JPM says, definitely write a review on Glassdoor. I'd be tempted to name and shame them on r/recruiting hell because that's just unacceptable behaviour. Just had a quick look at that r/recruiting hell. That may make an appearance at some point. Anyway guys, I turn this one to you. What do you guys think of this story? Let us know in the comments below. Have you ever had a bad interview before? Let us know. And don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 2. Our next story is from Chaos Kitten. Am I the arsehole for not telling someone I can read lips? This happened pre-COVID, by the way. I've had hearing loss for most of my life, but it was diagnosed when I was about 7 years old. So I've learned to read lips at the same time I was learning to speak. I'm very proficient in reading lips. Whenever I work with someone new, I make sure to let them know I have hearing loss and to make sure they are facing me and I'm aware they're talking to me. I've never actually mentioned to any co-workers that I could read lips, and I'm pretty sure most of them at least suspect it strongly. A new co-worker started and I did my customary introduction and disclaimer about my hearing. I don't think she believed me because she got very offended when I ignored her. The problem being, she was trying to get my attention from behind me and I genuinely did not hear her. Once someone got my attention, I apologised to her and pointed out that I did have hearing loss and I wasn't aware that she was talking to me. A few days later, she was venting to a mutual co-worker. The only problem was she was facing me and I could read her lips perfectly. After a few minutes, I approached her and let her know that if she was going to shit talk someone, she needed to make sure they couldn't understand her, and I was reading her lips the entire time. I told her I was upset that she wouldn't just come to me and that I did tell her twice that I was partially deaf and I couldn't hear her. She freaked out because apparently I was rude by reading her lips when she was facing me. What the hell, man? We're going to go straight into the comments with this one with Abyss7. Not the arsehole. Sounds like you taught her a very important lesson and she was embarrassed. Glad you called her out and stuck up for yourself. Load Your Brain says, this sounds like one of those stories where people are shit talking the waiter behind their back in a different language, but the waiter actually speaks the language. Lol. Not the arsehole. Auntie Chris says, I have severe progressive hearing loss and read lips. I can't turn it off. Did you know puppets say blah blah blah? Not the arsehole. And I agree with the first comment entirely there, that thank God she just called her out and hopefully this person's learned a lesson not to be so fucking rude, right? What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 3. Our next story is from Squigglepop. Am I the arsehole for refusing to grant my father's dying wish? My father, 59 male, and I were never really close in the early stages of my childhood. He was always busy in work and never had taken proper care of me. All of that burden had fallen onto my mother, who did the best she could to put me through school. That all soon went to shit due to the information about an affair with another woman, who is his current wife. I have very little memory of my father and I having actual conversations past the age of 12, and I could count on one hand the amount of times he visited me. He has never coddled me in my life, and missed all my major events, graduations, birthdays, and my engagement. Now my father had 2 kids with his now wife. One is 15 female and the other is 6 male. I've met these people only a few times and have exchanged nothing but formalities. Due to prior heart complications and the years taking toll on him, he's currently at his last moments. I was visiting him in a hospital a week prior and he told me he wished for me to further financially support his family if they were ever to run into hot water. I'm aware that my father had a previous gambling addiction, but I wasn't aware how bad it was. I told him in no such way I was doing that and had previously got a job opportunity out of state that I intended to take. He got angry at me and asked me how I could do that without telling him, so we could have time to make arrangements. I'd be able to offer them a small sum, but I have my own family now and can't bother to feed 3 more stomachs. I'm being made to be this terrible person by my father's side of the family, as his kids have no choice and that I was essentially hurting them. I've been told that I shouldn't do this out of spite and that I should forgive him in his last days. Yet, I can't help it. I want things to go back to when I would just choose to ignore him. I know I won't regret it, but I need to know if I'm in the wrong. Would I be the arsehole if I refused to be a bank account to my dying father's other family? Ah, dear. I always find these ones a bit sad, especially when there's other children involved that are totally innocent, you know. But in the end, I'm afraid it's just not your issue. And the fact that pretty much on his deathbed, he's turned to you for financial support. So he hasn't told you to come in and ask for forgiveness from you or anything like that. You've come in and he's asked you for financial support to support his other family, even though he's done nothing like that for you your entire life. Ah dear. Let's go down into the comments and see what we can see there. Re202 says, not the arsehole, this is utterly insane. Why can't the wife work and support her children? Your father was that in name only and has no right to make these demands on you. He neglected and mistreated you. He missed all the big moments in your life and has the audacity to expect you to provide for 3 people in spite of that. Not the arsehole, his death doesn't change his behaviour. Capital D Dog replies, and additionally, if he actually truly loved OP, he would never ask for such a thing. OP, he's basically telling you your life is still less important than his other family, you should sacrifice for them. Not the arsehole forever. Memes to 69 says, just because someone is dying does not make their past bad decisions null and void. God, why can't people see that? You're not the arsehole, hun. You don't have to give them a dime. Kinikos 19 says, I hate the whole don't speak ill of the dead. Why? I spoke ill of them before they died. How does their being dead change anything? Alira the Lock replies, oh man, this hits home for me. Annoys the crap out of me when people suddenly wash away all of someone's sins because they're dead. Dying doesn't suddenly make someone a good person. And once again guys, I turn it to you. What do you guys think of the story? Let me know in the comments below and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description. And our final story comes from Love to Be Alone More. Am I the arsehole for not understanding why my boyfriend pranking me at work was funny? So I, 22 female, was doing an internship at a very prestigious company in my field, and because I went to the same university as the CEO, he wanted to meet me and have a chat and offer me a job when I graduated. And he said we will meet again at the end of my internship. Keep this in mind. My boyfriend was also doing an internship in a different place. So one day I get a call from the CEO's office asking me to meet him right away, and I go up there and ask if he wanted to see me, and his secretary says she didn't think we had an appointment, and I call the number and my boyfriend answers and I just hang up and go to my desk. I'm very angry and ashamed. I just don't understand how it was considered funny. He says I should have realised it wasn't real, but the number he called me from was from his work, so I didn't recognise it. And I was also really looking forward to seeing the CEO again because of the job offer, so I didn't suspect anything and just embarrassed myself in his office. So after work, I call my boyfriend asking what the fuck was that, and he humiliated me. And he says I should have known and I shouldn't be mad because it was a joke. When I ask for an apology, I get the same response. You should have realised it wasn't real. So am I the arsehole for not thinking his prank was funny and getting mad at him? Edit, thank you all so much for the support, kind words and time. I'm sorry if I can't thank you individually, but messages received. I will think things through and have a serious talk, and if that didn't work, end the relationship for good. Thank you for all the guidance and advice. Updates, I guess. As this happened a while back, I can give you an update on what happened at that company. I didn't get the job, but for unrelated reasons. Because getting hired at the company required too much time, and I had to constantly follow up, and it just didn't seem right for me. I recently applied for another job. Even if I don't get that job either, I'm optimistic and I will not give up. I will give an update on the relationship as soon as I can. Thank you all again for your interest and time. My boyfriend Show Me This replies, ugh, not the arsehole, but not gonna lie, I would seriously consider your relationship. Not because of the prank, but that is refusing to apologise for a prank. In my opinion, it's not considered a prank if the person who's getting pranked doesn't laugh. Clearly you didn't find it funny and are trying to keep things professional in your workspace, so if you can't respect that. Otterhouse5 replies, I don't know, I'd reconsider the relationship just for the prank too. When, if he had apologised, like not necessarily break it right away, but I would at least think really hard about whether this type of behaviour is a pattern. It could have really messed up her career if as an intern she hadn't been intercepted by the secretary and instead actually reached the CEO and started talking about how he personally asked her to have a meeting with him. He could assume she was lying or deluded, which would have jeopardised her future at the company. Shows a serious error of judgment if he couldn't have predicted that awful possibility, even if he had been remorseful after. The fact that he wasn't remorseful is the cherry on top. Viola Clay replies, not the arsehole, what an awful thing to do. I never understand why people think humiliation is a good prank. Imagine doing that to someone you love just so you can have a laugh. It's selfish. I would be reflecting on this relationship a lot right now. And the OP finally replies, that's what I'm doing now, reflecting. There have been a lot of other instances and I'm seeing it as just my anxiety, or do other people who don't have the same issues think the same? This whole internship thing happened a while back. Now, from reading all this, I've got to say this guy sounds so immature. I mean, what the hell? How is that even a prank? That's just fucking stupid. It wasn't funny in the slightest. And could have, as someone said, jeopardized her future position at that place for this just walking in on the CEO and expecting something, you know. Oh, God, how stupid. Anyway, guys, what do you think of this story? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 5. Once again, guys, I thank you very, very much for being here. You are truly, truly appreciated. If you did enjoy this story, there's another one on your screen right now as I speak. And if you watch it, it really helps the channel out too. So it's a win-win, right? As long as you enjoy the content, of course. And with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Goodbye. Much love.